me morning. It's actually pretty nice outside. Um, Over the past couple of days, I've been doing some, I don't know if soul searching is the right word, but it's one of those things where the chicken has kind of come home to roost a little bit. So I got a text from my ex wife, and she was saying she got a notice from the IRS. And I already kind of knew it was coming, but I was hoping to kind of work on it in a different way, in a different time. But it is one of those things that you have to deal with when you're an independent contractor. Paying your taxes on time. Now, ever since I was an independent contractor, starting even back in 2000, I always had issues with paying my own taxes. I got so used to, in my early working days, just having taxes taken out for me. And when I started my own delivery business in 2000, I think that was the biggest bone of contention, is that I just didn't pay my taxes on time. And I wasn't making much money when I started my delivery business. And I just kept having issues with trying to make tax payments because I always put it on the back burner. And because of that, I put myself into major jeopardy twice. And I'm in the middle of the second one now. Probably back in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, I had to file for bankruptcy and have to pay my taxes back in an installment versus paying it, when I should have been paying it, which is every year. Now, this time around, same problem, and this all actually kind of started by prioritizing the wrong things when I was making my bills. So, starting around 2000, probably 2014, I started having issues again because I was married. We weren't making the kind of money that I'd hoped for doing deliveries, and prioritized the wrong things. Prioritized making sure that rent and food and those other bills were being taken care of, and put taxes on the back burner. And that was a big mistake, and has been a big mistake for probably the past 8 or 9 years. And because of that, and because of how the IRS compounds interest over time, now that tax bill has become huge. And it's almost six figures now. So what I have had to do is I have decided to increase my workload because I've been working about 62 hours a week doing deliveries. So that number has got to go up to about 82 hours a week. And on top of that, this is going to take me 6 years to pay off. So that gives you the scope of how important it is to get your taxes paid on time every year. And this is actually probably why it's better when you're doing this part time, because maybe you paid a little extra tax with your job and you're just doing, this to make an extra 500 or $1,000 a month. So you probably don't feel it quite as much. But when you're doing this full time and you're not taking your taxes out, it's a nightmare. And I'm telling you this from personal experience because I'm going to have to deal with this over the next 6 years, most likely. And that's basically working 80 hours a week and taking every extra dollar that I get from any part of my delivery to pay for it. So, if I have to emphasize this enough, if you are doing DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Uber, Lyft, whatever independent contractor thing you're doing, pay your taxes. Because you don't want to be in a situation like I'm in right now. My installment agreement payments are probably going to be what a lot of you might be paying in rent or a mortgage. So that gives you an idea of how bad it is. I've also decided to get a different vehicle because my vehicle right now gets 17 miles per gallon. And if I get a vehicle that even gets an extra 5 to 6 miles per gallon, that will actually save me $300 a month in gas. Also going to look for something with a more reliable brand, so I actually used AI to actually help kind of pinpoint what vehicles would work. Of all things, too, I actually sent in auto listings to the AI program and had it evaluate the pros and cons of each vehicle. And now I know what cars I'm looking for. So instead of looking through 500 random car, 500 different random car listings, I can look at 25. And then from that 25, I can probably discern down to get what vehicles are going to work best. So that's the first plan, is to adjust to a car that is a little more reliable and also gets better gas mileage than my current car. So that is looking like it's going to be somewhere probably between 5,000 and 5,500, and that includes all the taxes and dealer fees and everything. And it's not going to be a new car by any means. It looks like it's probably going to be a 2010s brand, early 2010s, Toyota, Honda, maybe even a Ford C-Max. Those are probably going to be the best ones for the buck that'll allow me to save some money. What else was I going to talk about? And I've actually adjusted my budget. I've figured out all the statistics when it comes to how much I make per mile and how much, because right now I'm driving 3,500 miles a month, and I figure to do an extra 20 hours a week, that's going to be an extra 300 miles a week, or an extra 16,000 miles a year. So that means, of course, that's why I'm looking for a more fuel efficient vehicle, because I figured out that if I get an extra 5 to 6 miles per gallon on a more fuel efficient vehicle, that will actually offset the extra miles I'm driving. The only thing that'll go up, the auto repair bill will go up, because I put 5 cents per mile into auto repair, like an auto repair budget. So right now I'm driving 40,000 miles a year. By adding that extra 20 hours a week, that's going to go up to 60,000 miles a year, which means that my auto repair budget for a year is going to be $3,000. So $250 a month, which I think is a pretty reasonable expectation for putting on 60,000 miles on your car, and especially the kind of cars I'm going to be getting. I mean, it's if you're only spending $5,000 on a car, you're not getting anything under probably 150,000 miles, or at least a good brand that's under 150,000 miles. So that's where you really have to be so diligent on all your maintenance stuff. You have to get your oil changes done. You have to get your brakes done once a year, maybe twice a year. You might have to get tires at least once a year or twice a year. Hi from Scotland, I hear you. Lost my train of thought. So oil changes probably every 3 weeks. Probably brakes done at least once a year or twice a year, depending on how good your brakes are. Tires probably at least once a year. You're probably looking at multiple fluid exchanges for transmission and coolant, belt inspections. You might even need a tune-up, depending on when you get the car. You might get the car before or after a tune-up, so it kind of just depends. Trying to think of what else. I mean, it adds up. I mean, you'll hit $3,000 in auto repair maintenance in no time. I mean, add, $30 for wiper blades. You'll probably end up having to replace those at least once a year. So this is why it's, when you're doing this kind of work full time, and from what I've understood, when I researched this, only 5% of people actually do gig economy delivery stuff full time. And I mean, that's Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Instacart, Shipt, Amazon. Only 5% of you do it full time. And I'm one of those. And from what I've understood, it's about 10 million to 12 million people that actually do this stuff, even part-time. So if it's 5% of people that actually do this full-time, that means the full-timer, that makes about 600,000 people altogether that do this full-time. The rest of you are doing this 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. Yeah, you're not doing this very much. You're just trying to get a few bucks for whatever you're trying to pay for, whether you're paying for rent, whether you're paying for food for the house, maybe you're wanting some fun money, maybe you only have to worry about making your car payment, all these things that you're trying to pay for. I get it. If that's all you're doing it for, great. And you have a regular job, great. Then you don't have to deal with a lot of the headaches that I'm dealing with right now. This big looming tax debt over my head. So, but I have made, enough decisions to know now how I can attack the bill and get it paid. It's still going to take me 6 years to get it paid, but it'll be worth it in the end, and it'll teach me a very valuable lesson about prioritizing paying your taxes. It's so important. You don't realize how important it is until you mess up, and I messed up on a massive scale. I mean, not corporate level, but as much as you can for one human being to have to deal with this. So, I went a little long because I wanted to talk about these few things. I got to start work in about 10 minutes, but thanks to those of you checking in. Have a good day.